It is almost certain that former President Donald J. Trump will be the Republican Party's candidate in the American presidential election in November 2024. If he wins the election, we will see something called Trumponomics again. Now, what is Trumponomics? How does it affect or influence your life? In other words, how is it related to the money you take home every week or month, and how does it impact your savings, your children's education, and your family's overall well-being? In this video, we will dig deeper into Trumponomics based on what we saw during President Trump's time in office. We will analyze Trumponomics point by point so that you know what to expect from Trump's second tenure if he becomes president again. Trumponomics involves 4 distinct pillars. They are: number 1, tax cuts; number 2, deregulation; number 3, trade protectionism; and number 4, immigration restriction. Trump believes in tax cuts for both individuals and corporations. He believes people belonging to the lower tier of the income bracket should not be required to pay federal income tax. In fact, he believes in introducing financial stimulus for low-income people so that they can live better and do not need to struggle every day. Trump wants to reduce corporate tax because if businesses in America pay lower taxes than those in other countries, many multinational and private companies that are working out of Europe, Asia, Africa, or the Middle East will be encouraged to come to America to take the opportunity. That means a stronger American economy and more jobs for Americans. Tax cuts will also encourage American companies to produce their goods in America. That will bring many manufacturing jobs back to the country, thus helping the economy grow even further. Trump believes a stronger economy is possible when the market is free. He wants to remove or limit the reach of the regulations that are discouraging capital from acting independently. This deregulation comes mainly in 2 sectors, energy and financial. If an oil company wants to drill for oil, it should be allowed to. As a result, the USA will produce more oil and the oil price will fall, thus reducing inflation automatically. Americans will have to spend less on their mortgage. They will spend more on other things that are important to them, for example, their children's education. Trump says banks or other lenders should be allowed to lend money to whoever they find suitable. Let them dictate the conditions of lending. If there is good competition in the financial market, lenders will have to lower the cost of borrowing to find borrowers, which in turn will help American businesses and entrepreneurs access the money they need to steamroll their businesses. More businesses mean more jobs, which will ultimately improve the quality of American people's lives. You heard about trade wars between the United States and China during President Trump's time in office. Trump believes in economic nationalism or trade protectionism, which means trade wars. Trump once said, "I'm absolutely a free trader. I'm for open trade, free trade, but I also want smart trade and fair trade." His Make America Great Again, or America First policy, is based on looking after the interests of the American people first, or making sure that American people do not lose their fair share when it comes to making deals with other nations and countries. America is strong, but it does not mean they have infinite assets or resources. Trump believes an uncontrolled immigration policy goes against the interests of the American people. High immigration levels coupled with weak growth will lead to a reduction in the wages of existing American workers, something he completely opposes. That is why he says he will initiate the largest deportation effort in the history of the United States if he wins the presidential election in November. Trump is in favor of making the American immigration system merit-based, something Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Great Britain implemented decades ago. "We're going to a much more merit-based system," he said. "But I absolutely want talented people coming in. I want people that are going to love our country coming in. I want people that are going to contribute to our country coming in." Now that you know the 4 pillars of Trumponomics, let us briefly look at what President Trump's critics say about them. Tax cuts will mean the government will have less money to spend than now. That means many humanitarian or well-being programs will have to be cut or reduced, and the budget deficit will grow even higher. Besides, rich people will enjoy more money than ever. At the same time, poor Americans will not benefit from it much because they do not earn much. Even though he believes in deregulation, in May 2018, President Trump ordered the Department of Energy to intervene in energy markets to protect the American coal and nuclear industries from competitive market pressures. If President Trump decides to subsidize certain resources so that American workers do not lose their jobs, that will work against the market. If the taxes on Chinese goods are high, manufacturers will pass on that tax to consumers. That means Americans would have to pay more for certain items that they can now buy at a lower price. Besides, trade disputes harm America's reputation as a leading economy. Other nations will trust the USA less and less. If President Trump decides to deport millions of undocumented workers, he will reduce the U.S. labor supply and force employers to offer higher wages to attract workers. That would probably compel the Fed to raise interest rates more rapidly than it would have otherwise. There you go. You have heard both sides of Trumponomics. What do you think? Is Trumponomics good or bad for you? Do you think President Trump's ideas have evolved over the last few years? Leave your comments and subscribe to this channel for more videos.